June 19, 1944. Somewhere beneath the Philippine Sea, a lone American submarine sits silent, engines off, crew barely breathing. Above them, the Japanese carrier Shokaku, one of the most powerful warships ever built, a ship that launched the planes that bombed Pearl Harbor, and the man hunting her? Commander Herman Kossler, 32 years old, on his first war patrol. In the next few minutes, he would do something that would change the entire course of the Pacific War. This is the story of the USS Cavalla, and the day a single submarine sent a legend to the bottom of the sea. To understand why this kill mattered so much, you need to understand what the Shokaku was. She wasn't just a carrier. She was a symbol. Commissioned in 1941, the Shokaku, whose name means soaring crane, was one of Japan's two most elite fleet carriers. Along with her sister ship, Zuikaku, she formed the backbone of the Imperial Japanese Navy's striking power. She displaced nearly 30,000 tons. She could carry over 70 aircraft. She was fast, capable of hitting 34 knots, and she was tough. But here's what made her truly legendary. She was there, at Pearl Harbor. On December 7, 1941, Shokaku's planes joined the attack that dragged the United States into World War II. She fought at the Battle of the Coral Sea, the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands. She survived torpedo hits, bomb hits, near misses that would have sunk lesser ships. American admirals had tried to kill her before. They failed every time. By 1944, the Shokaku had become something of a ghost to the US Navy, a ship that seemed untouchable. That was about to change. June 1944, the Pacific War has shifted. America is on the offensive. Operation Forager, the invasion of the Mariana Islands, is underway. Saipan is under assault, and Japan knows that if the Marianas fall, American B-29 bombers will be within striking distance of the Japanese home islands. Japan cannot allow this, so they launch Operation A-Go. Their plan, lure the US fleet into a decisive battle and destroy it once and for all. Japan's best carriers, their best pilots, their best ships, all committed. It would become the largest carrier battle in history. But the Americans had an advantage Japan didn't know about. Ultra-intelligence. The US had cracked Japan's naval codes. They knew the Japanese fleet was coming. They knew the order of battle. And they had positioned their submarines like a net across the Philippine Sea. One of those submarines was USS Cavalla. The Cavalla was a Balao-class submarine, brand new. She'd only been commissioned in February 1944, barely 4 months before this patrol. Her commander, Lieutenant Commander Herman Kossler, was experienced in submarines, but this was his first time leading a war patrol as captain. On June 17th, Cavalla made contact with a Japanese task force. Kossler immediately radioed in the sighting report, precious intelligence that helped Admiral Spruance prepare for the coming battle. Then, orders came back, trail the Japanese. Stay on them. But the Japanese were fast, and staying with them while remaining undetected was a razor's edge. On the morning of June 19th, Kossler picked up a massive radar contact. He went to periscope depth, and there she was, the Shokaku, surrounded by destroyers, actively launching aircraft. Kossler had a decision to make. The destroyers were close, the firing solution wasn't perfect, and he was on his first patrol in command. He fired anyway. At 11:18 a.m., Cavalla fired 6 Mark 18 electric torpedoes. The crew counted. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. Through the periscope, Kossler watched fire break out on the carrier's deck. Planes that had just landed, some still carrying fuel and ammunition, began to explode. And then the destroyers turned toward them. Kossler ordered Cavalla deep. What followed was 3 hours of hell. The Japanese destroyers dropped depth charge after depth charge. Over 100 depth charges rained down around the Cavalla. The crew lay in their bunks, lights off, every non-essential system shut down, breathing quietly, waiting. Each explosion shook the hull, lights flickered, pipes rattled. But Cavalla held together. She was built well, and Kossler kept her moving, slow, quiet, unpredictable, just enough to throw off the Japanese targeting. After 3 agonizing hours, the destroyers gave up. Cavalla had survived. Meanwhile, above the surface, the Shokaku was dying. 3 torpedo hits had torn open her hull. Fires were spreading to the aviation fuel lines. There was no stopping it. At 2:01 p.m., less than 3 hours after Cavalla's torpedoes struck, the Shokaku rolled over and sank beneath the Philippine Sea. She took 1,272 men with her. One of the Imperial Japanese Navy's most powerful, most experienced, most feared carriers, gone. Sunk not by a fleet action, not by dive bombers in a dramatic aerial battle, but by a first patrol American submarine commander who simply refused to miss his shot. The same day, another American submarine, USS Albacore, sank the new carrier Taiho, Japan's largest and most modern flattop. Japan lost 2 fleet carriers in a single day. The Battle of the Philippine Sea became known in American slang as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Japan's aircraft were decimated. Over 600 Japanese planes were destroyed, either shot down or lost with their carriers. American losses were less than 130 aircraft. Japan had staked everything on this battle. They'd counted on their carriers, their pilots, their plan. But their pilots were inexperienced. The veterans of Pearl Harbor, Midway, and Coral Sea were mostly dead by now. And America's fighter pilots flying the new F-6F Hellcat were some of the best in the world. After the Philippine Sea, Japan never again had the naval air power to mount a serious offensive. The war in the Pacific was effectively decided, and it started, at least partly, with the torpedoes of a young submarine commander on his first patrol. Herman Kossler was awarded the Navy Cross for his actions that day. The USS Cavalla continued to serve through the end of the war. She is now a museum ship in Galveston, Texas, where you can walk her decks today. The Shokaku rests at the bottom of the Philippine Sea, at a depth of over 3,000 meters. She's never been fully explored. There's something poetic about her end. A ship that helped start America's war in the Pacific, sunk by one American on his first try with 6 torpedoes. War doesn't always follow the script you expect. Sometimes a new captain in a new submarine changes everything. If you want to see more stories like this, the forgotten battles, the unknown heroes, the moments that changed World War II, make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment below. What do you think was the most decisive moment in the Pacific War? And check out our video on the Battle of Midway, where Japan lost 4 carriers in a single day. I'll see you in the next one.